February 19th, 1945. Thousands of American Marines stared at a tiny volcanic island in the Pacific. They had no idea they were about to enter one of the bloodiest battles in American history. The island was called Iwo Jima. It looked small on the map, but beneath its black volcanic surface waited thousands of Japanese soldiers prepared to defend every inch. For the Americans, Iwo Jima was more than another Pacific island. Its airfields could help American aircraft reach Japan and provide a vital emergency landing site. Before sunrise, hundreds of American ships surrounded the island. Battleships, aircraft, and landing craft prepared to unleash one of the largest assaults of the Pacific War. For 3 days, American guns pounded Iwo Jima. But when the bombardment stopped, thousands of Japanese defenders were still waiting underground, completely hidden from view. At dawn on February 19th, American landing craft began moving toward the beaches. Thousands of Marines checked their weapons and prepared themselves for what was coming. The first waves reached the black volcanic beaches. For a few moments, there was an unsettling silence. Then the island suddenly erupted with gunfire. Machine guns and artillery opened from hidden positions. Explosions tore through the beach as Marines struggled to move across deep volcanic ash. Vehicles became trapped in the soft ground. Men fell around them, while others pushed forward through smoke, sand, and constant enemy fire. The Marines had expected resistance, but Iwo Jima was unlike anything many of them had experienced. The enemy was not simply in front of them. It was hidden everywhere. Japanese defenders had spent months transforming the island into a fortress. Tunnels connected bunkers, caves, artillery positions, and hidden firing points. Instead of defending only the beaches, the Japanese planned to let the Americans come inland before unleashing their strongest defenses. The strategy worked. American forces captured sections of the beach, but every advance inland brought them closer to an enormous underground network. Above the battlefield stood Mount Suribachi, a volcanic peak dominating the southern end of the island. Its position made it one of the Americans' first major objectives. From Suribachi, Japanese observers could watch the beaches below. Capturing the mountain would give the Marines an important strategic advantage. American units began moving toward the mountain, while artillery continued striking Japanese positions. Marines advanced carefully, knowing enemy fire could come from almost anywhere. The closer they came to Suribachi, the more dangerous the terrain became. Every cave and bunker could hide another machine gun or another group of soldiers. Marines used flamethrowers and explosives to attack fortified positions. Tanks moved across the volcanic ground while infantry searched for hidden entrances. The battle was becoming a fight for yards. Sometimes the Marines advanced only a short distance before encountering another heavily defended position. On February 23rd, American Marines finally reached the upper slopes of Mount Suribachi. After days of brutal fighting, the summit was within reach. A small group of Marines carried an American flag toward the top. Below them, thousands of American troops continued fighting across the island. Then the flag was raised above Mount Suribachi. Marines across the battlefield could see it waving against the Pacific sky. Cheers spread through the American lines. For a brief moment, the flag represented something simple. They had captured the mountain. But the famous photograph of the flag became a symbol of victory, while the reality was much darker. The battle was nowhere near finished. Suribachi was only the southern end of Iwo Jima. Thousands of Japanese soldiers remained hidden farther north, waiting inside their fortified positions. American forces now had to continue across the island. The hardest part of the battle was still ahead of them. The Marines encountered an increasingly complex network of caves, tunnels, bunkers, and fortified ridges. Japanese soldiers could attack from unexpected directions and disappear underground. American tanks moved carefully through the dangerous terrain, while infantry followed behind them. Flamethrowers and explosives were used against positions that could not easily be reached. There was almost nowhere to hide. Volcanic ridges exposed the Marines to enemy fire, while caves provided Japanese defenders with protection. Every captured position had to be searched. Every cave entrance had to be cleared. Every ridge could become another battlefield. The Americans continued pushing north. Their advance was slow, exhausting, and costly, but they refused to stop.
Meanwhile, Japanese resistance became increasingly desperate. Their forces were isolated, surrounded, and unable to receive meaningful reinforcements.
Yet surrender was not their strategy. Many Japanese soldiers continued fighting from underground positions even as American forces closed in. The Marines responded with artillery, tanks, explosives, flamethrowers, and relentless infantry attacks. The island became a battlefield of smoke, fire, caves, and shattered defenses. Days turned into weeks. The men who had landed on the beaches were exhausted, but the fighting continued. By early March, American forces had captured the island's important airfields and were pushing toward the northern end of Iwo Jima. But victory did not mean the danger had disappeared. Isolated groups of Japanese soldiers continued launching attacks from caves and hidden positions. For the Marines, every day brought another difficult decision: advance into another fortified position or wait while enemy fire continued around them. The battle had become one of the bloodiest campaigns in the history of the U.S. Marine Corps. Thousands of Americans had already been killed or wounded. Japanese casualties were even more devastating. Their defensive strategy had turned the small island into a battlefield from which very few defenders would survive. By the final weeks, organized Japanese resistance was collapsing. American forces controlled most of the island, but isolated fighting continued. On March 26, 1945, organized resistance on Iwo Jima was effectively over. After 36 days of combat, the island was finally under American control. The victory came at an enormous price. More than 6,800 American servicemen were killed, while more than 19,000 were wounded during the battle. Japanese losses were catastrophic. Only a small number of defenders were captured alive, while thousands died during the fighting. The famous image of Marines raising the American flag on Mount Suribachi became one of the most recognizable photographs in American history. But behind that photograph was another story. The image showed triumph, yet the battlefield revealed the terrible price paid for that victory. Iwo Jima's airfields would become valuable to American forces. Damaged aircraft could land there, and the island supported the continuing American campaign toward Japan. But for the Marines who fought there, Iwo Jima was more than a strategic objective. It was 36 days of fear, exhaustion, sacrifice, and survival.
Today, the flag on Mount Suribachi is remembered as a symbol of American determination, but behind that flag were thousands of men who fought, suffered, and many who never came home.
Iwo Jima was only a small island in the Pacific, yet its story became enormous. The flag represented victory, but the battlefield revealed the price of that victory, a price history would never forget.